12,000 fans have turned up to watch newly merged rugby league clubs, West Tigers and the Northern Eagles, go round for the first time in a trial match. While the Tigers defeated the Eagles 48-22, it was the numbers off the field that had the NRL smiling.
Not a fan could be found who said they wanted to merge, but now the deals are done, even the hardest of heads are softening.
West's a club very much like Balmain, so I'm very pleased with them with which we did merge.
Manly and North Sydney had less in common, but it appears pragmatism has risen above traditional bitter rivalry.
I would have preferred just North Sydney, but considering that Manly was the enemy, basically, but now that they're together, I suppose you just have to stay behind them.
With the combined talents of Balmain and West and their merger money wisely spent, the Tigers are looking well prepared for next month's NRL kick-off. New by former Newcastle centre Owen Craigie, one of the stars, as the Tigers leapt to a 34-0 lead.
There's no doubt that we're a lot stronger right across the paddock, but our backline in particular is a lot stronger, and that's where we concentrated our efforts as far as recruitment was concerned.
The Northern Eagles' marriage of convenience was so hastily arranged they don't even have a new jersey. So it's not surprising the gelling of Manly and Norths hasn't yet set.
There were some patches of some really intense football, wasn't there, in certain areas of the field, and it was enough for me to take away anyway and do some work with.
While the fans mightn't like what's happened to rugby league, it seems they still want to watch. And while they do, the game has a future.
More than a fortnight, hard to believe, isn't it? It's a new era, 14 teams, including 2 joint venture clubs, the Northern Eagles and West Tigers, who played a trial in Sydney last weekend. As James Knight reports, the result was not as important as the drive to regain a legion of lost fans.
This is changing territory. Once solely home for the Tigers, it's been bitten by evolution.
It's exciting for, the West fans and the Balmain fans, and I really honestly think we're going to give them something to cheer about this year.
The West's Tigers, a marriage between Balmain and Western Suburbs, 2 clubs older than Grandad, founded when the competition first began in 1908, but no longer standing alone. Last Saturday, hours before kick-off, the fans queued to welcome a new era, but not all did with open arms.
I'm still one-eyed Magpie supporter, and it's going to be pretty hard to follow the Tiger.
This is the challenge facing administrators, how to ensure they keep the turnstiles clicking and the fans cheering. For West's Tigers boss Martin Bullock, the answer is simple.
If you win games, you're going to get supporters, aren't you?
West Tigers!
It's a view shared by most of the fans, none more than Scotty, as passionate as his jumper is striped.
What's rugby league mean to you, mate?
Tigers.
That's it? Eat, breathe and live them?
Yeah.
You don't mind the teams merging?
Nah, the way it is was better than the other option that was put on the table to the board. They made the best decision possible.
I was very worried that they were going to disappear completely, so I'm glad we've got them for 7 games this season coming.
Will you go to the games out at Campbelltown as well?
Remains to be seen, but probably.
I think it's unreal. Sells a lot of other people by the looks of it, so
yeah, so it's good for the game?
Well, I think probably for the 2 clubs it's probably the best thing.
If we didn't do it, we'd be in a lot of trouble. We know it might only lasted a year or so, so we really had to merge, and I was just hoping it was going to go that way.
We are very, very conscious of the people that were involved with both those clubs and the people that were affected emotionally by it all. We still have to do a lot of hard work to make them feel a part of this joint venture. But putting on the team that we've got on the field and the crowd that's here and the atmosphere that's here, it looks like we've got a really solid foundation for it.
Officials are talking the talk. David Moffat, formerly from Rugby Union Administration, has crossed the narrowing gap between the codes with a clear vision for the future.
I'm going to be spending a lot of time at the football. Obviously, we can do all the planning, but it's what happens out here. and I'll be coming out and talking to the fans and spending a bit of time with the fans, because I think that's the best way that you can actually get to know what they're thinking.
The players too acknowledge their responsibilities. Veteran Terry Hill sees the game, despite its history, being at a stage for new pioneers.
We've got to get back up there. We've given, places like, AFL and soccer, and that they've had a jump start. Rugby union, winning the World Cup. So, now that we're back playing, I think we'll be right.
And if pioneers are needed, 19-year-old Nick Bradley sets an impressive mould. In this professional era, he's a rarity.
I'm doing a double degree at Sydney Uni at the moment, Asian Studies and Economics as a social science. I'm doing honours in economic history, so it's fairly full workload.
Away from football, he does community work, but he knows a community such as Balmain benefits when the work is done on the field.
If you look at what the joint venture at St George did last year, it was incredible, and I think if we can mobilise the same support and have the same results, it'd be awesome for rugby league.
In this pioneering season, they know the best barometer will be the fans.
Enjoy the season, eh?
Yeah, I will, mate. Hopefully the Tigers will do well.
Tomorrow night on the program, how would you feel to be blacklisted out of the Sydney rental market?
Tonight for a piece of rugby league history. The first trial match for the league's two newest joint venture clubs. And the West Tigers gave it to the Northern Eagles, leading 34-0 at one stage. The Eagles fought back but still went down 48-22. The 2-hour match was played in 6 20-minute segments.
If last night's crowd at Leichhardt Oval was any indication, the West Tigers joint venture is set for a popular NRL debut. In a trial game against fellow new club, the Northern Eagles, the Tigers won 48-22. Along with the scoreline, the crowd size was another talking point. Nearly 12,000 fans turning up for the friendly. Neither team was in their new playing strip, with the Northern Eagles still to settle on their jumper. For Tiger fans, there was plenty to be happy about. Craig Field was a constant threat in the 9 tries to 4 pre-season warm-up.
Career. At the end of the 1998 season, he was almost buried alive in a building site accident.
Saturday night's debut of the game's two newest joint venture clubs. So too a new chapter in Mark Stimson's career. 16 months ago, a trench cave-in left him buried to the waist in dirt, rubble and a 10-metre length of concrete. The accident crushing his foot.
Yeah, it wasn't a very nice experience, one that I don't want to repeat too quickly.
But 2 weeks later, another blow. Part of his foot and 2 toes began to decay. Doctors forced to amputate. At that stage, Stimson's rugby league career was the least of his worries.
People think, oh, you've lost your footy career and this, that and the other, but, you take a lot of things for granted in life, and just to be able to walk, I think it's a pretty special gift when you're flat on your back for 5 weeks.
There was surgery and skin grafts, but by the halfway mark of last season, he was back playing for Balmain's reserves. Then the news of the merger with Wests. His next obstacle, to make the joint venture's 26-man cut.
Now, at the end of last year, you started playing first grade and started to develop, the arrogance that a lot of football sort of carry into games, and they get their confidence up and you think, I can mix it with these guys.
The fact that he's been able to come back is probably a tribute just as much to his positive attitude than anything else, because there were a lot of people that would have sort of given up and said, I can't play professional sport in probably the toughest week-to-week competition in the world with half a foot.
Leanne West, 10 News.
Ian Thorpe,